Welcome to Rewatch First Watch Side Key. I'm your rewatcher, KeybladeSpirit. Today we're talking about Steven Universe, starting with episode 24, because I feel like that's the...
I like how you,
What?
Hi, I'm Lumia. I'm here too. I'm not to be forgotten by this Keyblade spirit, forgetting to let me be introduced.
I was gonna bring up your introduction as soon as I got the introduction of the show out of the way.
You introduce yourself and ignore me. I'm half this crew. I'm half the cast. I am loved, I think.
You are
Probably.
loved,
I'm not
but
that
you are
edgy.
also the Senate.
I'll think that's a good thing.
Yes,
You will.
that's definitely a good thing. I'm not comparing you to a dictator.
Are you calling me a dictator?
I am not comparing you to a dictator.
Good. I like to think of myself in a high regard.
Okay.
Anyway, we watched Steven Universe.
Yes, starting with episode 24, which is, I think, not the best place to start. Obviously, the best place to start is the beginning. But it is the best place to start if you want to show somebody what you like about the show. Or at least what I like about the show.
I hate Steven.
Steven is not very I agree, Steven is not likable in the early show.
He's honestly one of the most annoying characters I've seen in a show. He's not in the top 1 percentile, but he's probably in the top 15 percentile of most annoying most annoying characters.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I can totally see that because he is... to me, he's not written like a realistic little kid, but he is written like everything that I don't like about little kids.
Yeah, and this just makes Steven Universe so hard for me to watch. I'm just making this up front, just so there's some context moment before we talk about the individual episodes.
Yeah.
And because every single episode that we watched during these 6 episodes focused on Steven as the main character, it just drags them all down because he's the center focus. He's constantly being brought up as he literally is the cause of every problem in the entire show so far.
Okay. Well, see, I don't really see it that way. We'll get to the individual episodes, and I'll justify there, but yeah.
Okay, I guess with the bubble thing, technically that wasn't his fault, so...
Yeah, and also with the island thing, that was Sadie's fault entirely. She's the one who hid the warp.
Yes, but Steven brought them there. He
brought them there, but they would have been able to leave at any time.
Yes, but he went there without the knowledge of the warp gate, whether or not they could disappear or not.
That's true, but he had... Yeah,
That's just inherent.
He had no reason to think that they could just disappear, and we find out that they didn't just disappear.
No, I get that, but I'm saying because he didn't know that fact, which sounds like something that should be very basic and simple to their day-to-day functions of the gems, I put that blame partially on him. Not it's his fault for not knowing the horde was there, but it's still his fault for not being aware of the limitations in what the teleporters actually do.
The thing is, that would have been new information to him if that were true. It wasn't true.
No, I get that.
Yeah, until then, nobody had... I feel like if that had been a possibility, then the gems would have told him.
Probably. But... it's... I gotta give some blame to him, as it was him who... Because if you're gonna take someone to another world, and you're the only one that can bring them back, there is some responsibility on your end for the events that occur in that
That's
area.
fair. That's fair.
I'm not, it's definitely not like 100% his fault. It's just like there's some responsibility of his that needs to be taken, and it just all this stuff just leads me to just not like Steven. He is autistic,
Yeah. Well, see,
but he's autistic in a very not fun way, very annoying.
Well, see, I don't really read him as autistic, although I've seen him later in his life, so I know a bit more. I just kind of read him as a little kid who doesn't know about the world and
maybe that.
And how to read other people's emotions.
I guess that's why I'm reading about this. He just fails to read situations in the room.
Yeah, but in that way, that's how all kids are when they're young enough.
That's true. I get that, but at the same time, when you write a character that way, it just makes them... You kind of want to like your main character to a degree, unless the point of the show is you're not supposed to like him.
And see, that's...
And everything about Steven Universe points to you liking him as a protagonist.
Yeah, like, the show wants him to be a cute kid. Like, I'm engaging with this, like, not 100% agreeing that this makes the show bad, but agreeing that Steven is unlikable in the beginning.
Yeah. I'm on the side, obviously, that this makes the show bad, because if it's a painful experience for me, then I'm not having a good time.
Yeah. Like, for me, I'm considering that I've already watched the show all the way through and know how he grows and develops. I'm willing to engage with it as him being, like, not a realistic little kid, but a believable little kid. And then on top of that,
sure,
it's more like he grows into being the main character, in a sense.
He definitely is the main character in the focus for every episode.
Yeah, like, I would call him the viewpoint character for most of the early series. Yeah,
that's fair. Like,
because a lot of it, like, Secret Team was very based around him and his struggle with not wanting Pearl and Amethyst to be at odds. But largely, a lot of these are about the emotions and the relationships of the adults who are taking care of him, as seen through his eyes as a child.
I like those bits of the show. I genuinely do. But they're so far in between that all of the garbage, because for me, that's what it is, because I just despise every single joke in this show so much, because it's just such cringe humor. Like, there's a few jokes that are genuinely fun. Like the the purple girl.
Amethyst?
Hey, Amethyst, she changes her head into, like, the blood thing after the war thing, pretending that she died in, or got messed up with Steven.
That was literally
and
just
then
a reference
Garnet says, oh, I wasn't even thinking about that, honestly. Well, no. The part after that's what made it really funny was Garnet saying, that was fun. Just stone cold, nothing about it. Yeah. That was fun. That was genuinely fun. That was genuinely good. That very much but showed their relationship.
Yeah.
I like comedy like that. Not the entire Secret Team of them beating up the hands in one attack. And I do like how they hint towards Garnet's arms very subtly by the fact that all the arms are defeated in one hit, and Garnet's hands are not defeated in one hit. That was actually really clever on the
I didn't even notice that.
It was what I was going to bring up as an issue, actually, because I don't like inconsistencies like that, and that was just them being clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also hint towards that early in the beginning, into them missing one of the crystals, because no one fuck's gonna count on those
Yeah.
fragments. God knows that.
Oh yeah, totally.
And yeah, no, that was clever and good. That was a good.
Yeah, and that.
Hey,
I don't know if it it definitely doesn't come up during the episodes that we are going to be discussing, but the shards themselves, and their ability to partially form because they're just shards, that becomes a major plot point later on in the show.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah,
that is cool. It felt like a filler episode, honestly. So the fact that it goes somewhere,
yeah, like it's like it that somewhere that it goes didn't require this episode to set it up, but it does. It is good that. Like, I totally forgot that this episode existed, and then seeing it and remembering the cluster from much further in the future was really cool. It shows that it shows to me that at least they had that in mind, and that people like to meme about foreshadowing in Steven Universe, and there's not that much I'm gonna go off on a tangent here because this really burns my beans. Okay, people meme about foreshadowing in Steven Universe a lot. And there is foreshadowing in it, but so much of it isn't really foreshadowing so much as they, like, when I'm saying foreshadowing, I mean, like, intentionally putting hints at the future. So much of it is just that they had a clear idea of things that they wanted to happen in the show, and they just wrote the show knowing that those things were going to happen, and knowing that those concepts exist and doing things with them before they become fully relevant. Like this thing with the cluster.
No.
This wasn't foreshadowing. I know that you don't know what the cluster is, but yeah, probably a bunch of people in the audience will know. This thing with the cluster. This episode was not foreshadowing the cluster. This episode was just the writers knew that the cluster was going to be a thing, and they knew what the cluster was. And so they decided, you know what, and so because of that, they had that concept, and they just used it to a smaller degree elsewhere in this one episode. You know? And and so it's not always foreshadowing, it's just having a clear idea of where your story is going, and writing knowing that stuff. And that's it
depends.
I think that's much smarter than outright foreshadowing.
I think that works better for an episodic show like this show. I mean, there is continuity between the episodes. That was clear in the first two episodes. But okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like direct continuity like that is rare, but yeah. Yeah, that was like very clearly a two-part episode.
What I don't understand, to go into that episode,
together, whereas usually they air week apart.
Lapis at the end of the first episode, pretty much said wanted Steven to come with her. Then, do they use they them pronouns, or are they just she her? Okay, just wanted to check.
Yeah, all of the gems are she her.
But when Steven goes back to Lapis, and in the second episode, she rejects Steven immediately. I don't understand what changed.
I don't think anything really changed, except that Steven had.
She was already trying to run away at the end of the last episode,
and that caused her to run away. Yeah. See, I didn't quite understand that either, but I feel like a lot of it is also to do with her emotional state. Because a big part of it was she was just trying to get home. And she wanted Steven to go with her, but then when he refused and she just ran away, like any resistance was at that in that emotional state, any resistance to her just meant you're an enemy now, and you're gonna have to really convince me.
Okay, that's fair.
If you want to make friends with me. And like that's a big part of her character arc is that she wants to, or a big part of what Lapis's arc is that she's just scared of making connections. And any connection that she makes, either it's like she has to learn that resistance in these relationships is okay. Like, both that it's okay for her to resist, and
I imagine
that
that's brought up more in her arc.
The other person to have resistance against her. Yeah, it is, and
that's fine. She was definitely more of a
in any of the episodes that we're going to be watching.
Build up, foreshadow, whatever you want to call it. She served her purpose well, and I only just knew she was going to come back. So later on, so
yeah, that was her. I feel like her purpose of being introduced in the way that she was specifically to set up the fact that Homeworld exists, and a place, and as a place that we are probably going to go to someday.
Yeah, it was all right of an episode. I mean, I can't get over this because this is the issue with all the episodes that I fucking hate Steven so much. Like, it just ruins for me the main aspects of the show that I think are cool. Like, why did they choose a character so annoying?
Yeah.
He could have been a side character, it would have been fine. Make Garnet the main character, it would have been decent.
Yeah, well... Yeah, I do feel like making him the viewpoint character for the entire time is like...
Here's my experience watching a Steven Universe episode.
Moment-to-moment stuff.
Just to give some context. The first 8 minutes, there's about 8 minutes of, like, goofy fun time.
Okay.
With Steven. And then the last 3 minutes of the episode, the roundup is happening, the plot stuff is happening. And that's when this episode's good. That's about 25% of the episode. Leaving 8 minutes of it being hell.
That's fair.
Where I'm rolling my eyes, groaning, and wanting to watch anything else. I despise this show. I really do. I'm sorry, Key. I'm gonna be saying this for literally every episode.
I understand. Oh no, it's okay.
Thank God.
And I already promised that I'm gonna suffer through Skyrim at some point. God. So, you will have your revenge.
He is literally one of the most annoying protagonists. He's not bottom tier. He's just super annoying. And I guess Garnet is character I like the most. I don't get her gimmick because we don't get enough time spent with the individual gems, because right now they kind of feel all pretty basic. Amethyst is the, is similar to Steven, is like the bad influence, I guess you could say. Garnet's the cool-headed one. And Pearl is the intelligent, clean freak, double D type. Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
Because right now I don't really
in
have
these
a.
episodes, we do get to
She
see
just
more
kind of
of
feels like a lesser
what Pearl was about.
double B
Like
right now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what we get of Pearl in these episodes, like in Space Race, we get to see a lot more of what she's all about and how she's.
Oh yeah, that was actually probably the best episode
Like,
of these
in
6
that
episodes.
episode, it didn't really.
I still don't think it was good by my standard, but it was the best by far.
Agree there.
Because everything related to Pearl was good. When Pearl was on screen, it was great. It was something like Steven and his dad. I was done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, what I liked about that episode is that it shows a big difference in the way Greg tries to be good as a parent, but isn't. And then it also shows the way Pearl is good as a parent,
Pearl's
but fails in some of the finer details.
And the fact that she misses space so much. Pearl definitely feels like the most parent of his 4 parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really should.
Yeah, Pearl is like the mom.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Amethyst, I would.
She fulfills the big brother archetype, but yeah,
sort
big
of
sister.
describe as the big sister. Yeah, like with what we saw of Greg in Space Race. What I appreciate about it is that we got to see how he is, like, with this whole going to space project, building a spaceship. He's engaging with it like a parent engages with their child who wants to build a spaceship. And so he's sort of like, he's not a realistic father because he almost makes his son go off of a very, he almost makes his son crash into a rock, but he also says, "Don't be afraid to fail."
Considering his son has like that magical shield power, I'm not really that worried about that. So I don't really think of Greg as a bad parent in that sense. His bad parenting episode comes up later. Yeah.
House guest.
I right now hate Greg. I don't know if that's intentional. I don't forgive him still. I know Steven does, but that's because Steven's a child, and that's the kind of thing. If you didn't have abusive parents, that's the kind of thing I would imagine you could forgive quickly, even though what Greg did was really, really messed up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's especially messed up when you know more about his character and the fact like in Steven Universe Future we find out some stuff about him that he's both vaguely abusive in that sense. And also, he is himself messed up in a lot of ways. He's like abusive in the opposite way that his parents were abusive.
No,
and that doesn't make him any better. But yeah. Like this episode was, I feel, definitely meant to.
If that was the case, it succeeded.
That the viewer may
kind of like how Gendo does a lot. Though,
yeah.
Well, I think Gendo's never comes off as good. I don't know. All my impressions of Greg have just been either annoying or now I have a better impression.
Yeah.
I am glad of the setup they have, where he doesn't live in the house. When I first saw that, I thought that was a little harsh to him. The more I got to know him, this episode just really sold me on the fact that that was a good idea. It's just...
Yeah. Like, one of the things that I appreciate about him is specifically, it seems like he knows that the gems are better parents than him. Just by the fact that he's not living with them, and like, I showed you that short from earlier, that sort of a prequel to the whole thing, and shows how he built that house for Steven so that he could live with the gems. And to me, that shows he knows Steven deserves better than a dad who literally lives in a van. And he knows that even though he wants to keep that relationship with his son, he knows that he by himself, even he as a primary parent,
I guess the thing I don't like is that he's pretty much forgiven by Steven at the end of the episode still. And there's no retaliation for the gems either on him. Because they didn't balance the show enough for that. Like,
like, I feel like if this episode had been like 5 minutes longer,
I just feel like Greg and Garnet should have had a
next episode, even we would have seen more of that.
That would have made the episode better for me and sold. That we're not supposed to like Greg, because if the protagonist forgives, then generally at least I imagine on how the shows normally go, how you're supposed to feel about it, unless it's obvious that that character's manipulating them, which generally is intentional. And I don't know if Greg's manipulating Steven or not right now. I'm assuming, by the way the show's going, he's not, and he's just dumb. Which is not, forgiving of his...
In a lot of ways, he is
horrible
just dumb,
actions.
But also, in a lot of ways, he's...
Bad actions are still bad actions.
Yeah, definitely not. Like... Yeah. Like, this episode is definitely better in the context of... like, it actually makes Greg look worse.
I'm going into
in the
show
context of
these
Greg's
comics that I
backstory.
have.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm probably gonna, because I am sure that you won't be continuing, so I'm gonna spoil wherever I need to.
After this, I'm probably not gonna watch any more Steven Universe until you bring it up to the next rewatch first watch. Yeah, and that's gonna be for
if we do another rewatch first watch with Steven Universe, it'll be with the movie, which is so far way ahead of all of these episodes. Just for the fact that Steven has matured a lot.
My argument, even if Steven gets good then, I will still be holding this against the show because they intentionally made their character bad. Which honestly feels worse than if it was bad because of, bad writing, bad direction, bad anything else.
Yeah. See, going back, I still kind of feel like... Going back, I now kind of feel like he wasn't meant to start off as the protagonist.
I get that, but the show
he gradually becomes
focuses on him so much that it ruins all my goodwill towards him for being as annoying as he is. like, if you're going to tell a story about a character who starts
Yeah,
off
yeah.
annoying
Yeah.
and bad,
I understand
grows
that. I'm
into
just
a person who's
like I do.
not work, that is a good person, is interesting. It's just, I just, I guess his goal is to protect his family, but I just don't care about Steven. Like, Shinji's really annoying in the first 6 episodes of, I don't know what I'm comparing this to Eva right now.
Yeah.
Not even fair. Um, so I just keep in mind, I'm not making a fair comparison. Shinji's really annoying and not likable in the first 3 episodes of Eva. But you come to understand really early on why he's messed up, very early on.
Yeah.
Why he's, and you start to care for him, even though he is annoying. Even though he can't relate to people, the obvious answer is just talk to people. Would solve all of his issues. And even with all of that, I still like Shinji more in the first 3 episodes than I do Steven. Because at least I care about Shinji, because I see why he's messed up. Not that, Steven's messed up here. You've shown me some clips where he's far more interesting later on. It's just, all Steven is right now, in these episodes, is that he's an annoying kid. And that's not interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's far more interesting to me. Like, you do have a point that, like, how can I put this? Like, the best, like, a better show, I feel like, would have focused more on the adults, and to, like, keep Steven as the viewpoint character, it would have, they would have just shown only scenes where Steven was present. And rather than focusing specifically on him as the like, he is presented as the main character. I'm not denying that. And I'm more making a point that his being the main character is, like, disputable in these first several episodes. And if they had, because, like, in Steven Universe Future, it is very important thematically that everything that we've seen has been stuff that Steven was present for. But also, like, in Future, there's one episode where Steven finds out, like, he's been away for a while, and he comes back to Beach City, and he finds out that a lot of things have changed. Like, relationships that he helped get together have broken up and gotten with other people. And stuff like that. And it's heartbreaking, specifically because we know exactly why he's so invested in all of these things that are now different.
But that depth is missing here for his character. Like, there's just, I know. I just can't.
No, it is missing here. Like I said, I'm specific. The context of me bringing this up was that I was like, suggesting a better way that the show could have gone about.
What show did this really well?
Having him grow into the main character role.
Ben 10. Ben. Yeah, Ben. An annoying brat of a kid.
Oh, yeah. But I really liked that.
There will always be this episode every once in a while. Or not episode. There would always be, like, this little thing about him once in a while where you would see him wondering how he can improve himself. Not that Steven doesn't have that, but... Because keep in mind, the gimmick was that he was 10, so he acts like a 10-year-old in a lot of ways. We see him how he's selfish, like him, but we also see him, like, regret his mistakes and his greediness. We see him feel bad for the mistakes he made. For every mistake he makes, he's genuinely is punished. to turn into the better hero. And like Steven Universe, as you point out, in a future later on in Ben, the sequel show, whatever the sequel is, the one where they're in Alien Force, he's matured into a very good, successful hero who is confident, has a lot, doesn't have the annoying hero personality until the last season. We'll talk about that. So, these criticisms can work. Yeah. I don't want to watch a show. Ben 10's great. I rewatched a few episodes of it a while back. Great show. I need to get back to
I should go back and rewatch Ben 10. Okay,
it's a good show. It's episodic as hell.
We'll do a rewatch.
And obviously the art style, the Alien Force is better in every way, considering all the concepts of with aliens it delves into. I mean, honestly, one of the coolest aliens ever is from that show, which is the idea of these two cosmic level beings who have to debate each other to make decisions. Yeah, literally one of the coolest concepts ever. That is honestly one of the coolest.
Alien.
Even if you look at the first 10 aliens, all the concepts, besides the fire guy, are cool. Because fire guys, he's cool. But he's the least interesting one because it's kind of just.
The guy is fine.
He's just a Human Torch with an alien. You know what is cool? Diamond Head,
he's just
an
fine.
Entire race of gem people who can shoot giant spikes out of the ground. Or gray matter, which is literally the gray alien things that everyone knows and memes of, but they're tiny as fuck. That's hilarious. Or stinkfly.
Yeah.
Yes, all of them are god tier geniuses.
And they're also canonically galaxy brained.
There's the werewolf thing. That was cool. I love the plant thing, the plant alien so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was swamp fire alien.
Yes, swamp something.
All those aliens were just such cool designs that's so significantly different from each other. And then, Alien Force, 10 new aliens. Fantastic. Huh. Ben 10, what a great show.
Yeah. Yes. We've broken our promise about this show being the short thing that we do in the middle of the week. Yeah, this is going on 40 minutes. So, do you... but now that you've gotten all of your complaints about Steven Universe out, and I don't think you'll have...
This was 40 minutes of my general complaints.
General complaints about Steven Universe out.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you had
yeah, when the show's focusing on everything else, it's pretty decent.
Too. Yeah. So if you, hopefully.
By the way, when we're done with these episodes, I'm gonna give a score.
We'll be able to cut this down because we'll be able to focus specifically on the episodes.
I'm just letting you know that I'm doing that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So anyway, what do you think, viewers, what do you think? I'm getting in real close here. I'm whispering right here into your ear, viewer. This is the KeybladeSpirit ASMR minute. You're gonna tell me in the comments. Do you prefer Steven Universe or Ben 10? Also, if you could like and subscribe, that would be good. We would appreciate that. So, anyway.
Die.